Standing alone takes courage. In nature, it is the strongest of animals that dare to survive alone. Eagles, leopards, male elephants, and sharks, all of these animals go through life alone because they know that they can survive by the power of their sheer strength and wit. However, this type of spirit takes an incredible amount of courage and self confidence. This is why most animals do not live alone, including humans. We understand that we need community to help support our dreams, overcome our struggles, and achieve success. We look to others to approve our ideas and affirm our beliefs. But every once in a while, we come across individuals that, in the face of adversity, have the strength and the fortitude to stand alone and do what they morally think is the right thing to do, even when the folks around them are going in the opposite direction. This is what has inspired this podcast episode. Listen to this episode about examples of moral courage, standing up for what's right, and exemplifying courage in the workplace. And if you're listening to this episode on Apple Podcasts, I'd appreciate it if you would leave us a 5-star review. You know, it really helps people decide to listen to the show. And if you're watching on YouTube, please don't forget to subscribe. If you are joining us for the very first time, welcome to my podcast, Defining You. I'm your host, Helena J., MC, voiceover artist, and your courage builder. Now, before we get started, I just wanted to let you know that this episode is going to be a little different. After hearing from many of you, I'm going to continue doing solo episodes while I work on season 2 of the podcast. After this month, though, I'm going on a break. So I have some special episodes lined up for you. But I'm already looking for new guests for the show. So stick around to hear about how you or someone you know can be a guest on Defining You. Thanks. Now, here we go. I think I can speak for most Americans when I say that the January 6th attack on our Capitol was jarring, to say the least. For the past 6 months, the January 6th Bipartisan Committee has pulled together what I believe to be compelling arguments pointing to the responsible parties for the January 6th attack. As I've watched the hearings, one person in particular has caught my attention. Representative Liz Cheney, the lead Republican and co-chair of the committee, and by all accounts, has stood up for the truth at the expense of coming up in opposition of her own party. Although I do not agree with Mrs. Cheney's stance on many issues, I have been tremendously impacted by her courage to put country over party, even at the expense of her own political future. And as a woman, I am particularly proud of Mrs. Cheney because, unlike her male counterparts, she has not allowed the loud voices of opposition and death threats to stop her from doing the right thing. She has shown great strength and fortitude, and for that, I believe her to be a profile in courage. I think it's easy for most people to gloss over the gravity of a situation because most of us have not had to stand alone in a very public sphere to declare the truth, no matter what. But I ask myself, what if I had to? Would I be able to withstand the pressure of going against the grain to uphold my moral principles? The answer is, I don't know. The truth is, if we are honest, most of us avoid taking the road less traveled. We are comfortable with blending in with the crowd and not going against the majority. But if we had more Liz Cheneys in political office, I dare to say that our country would be in a much better position than it is right now. I've been inspired by Liz Cheney because she has stood up for what is right despite all she has lost and stands to lose politically and personally. As the highest-ranking Republican woman, she has lost her position as the House GOP conference chair. She has been censured by the RNC and alienated by her constituents. Politically, it looks as though she may lose her seat. But what I like about her the most is that although she knows she's likely to lose, she's determined to go out with a bang. Kudos to Liz. You know what? And she's not alone. She's not the only one. I also want to recognize Wandrea Shea Moss, the former election department employee in Fulton County, Georgia, who stood up for election integrity. Despite the threats and violence against her and her family, she continued to do her job and serve the people of Fulton County by making sure that every vote was counted. I was listening to her when she, along with Liz Cheney, was honored in the Profile in Courage Award at the John F. Kennedy Library, and she talked about having patience, commitment, and the need for courage. I could feel her emotion as I watched her speak. I could see how it took a tremendous amount of courage to get through that situation. She used a quote from Kennedy that really resonated with me in her speech. She said, "What really counts is not the immediate act of courage or valor, but those who bear the struggle day in and day out, not the sunshine patriots, but those who are willing to stand for a long period of time." On the same night, Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky was also honored. This is a man who is standing up against Russia's powerful leadership. His bravery is commendable, and it takes real political courage to do what he has done. Prior to this conflict, he didn't have that much political experience, but he understood when it was right to stand up and do the right thing. I remember when President Biden offered him a plane to leave the country as it was coming under attack, and Zelensky said he didn't need a helicopter. What he needed was ammunition to defend his country. President Zelensky's courage as a leader has led his people to stand up and fight for their nation, democracy, and for each other. This helps me to understand that courage can be contagious. It just takes one person to stand up for what's right, and sooner or later, others will follow. These are the people that make me think about what is important in life, who we are fighting for, and what are we doing. Part of doing what's right and standing up means we can't just follow the crowd, because sometimes the crowd can lead us in the wrong direction. You know, as a Christian, the topic of courage and doing what's right makes me think of Jesus Christ. Yes, Jesus never followed the crowd. His courage and leadership caused the crowd to follow him. There are times in life when we need to show strength and leadership so that people will follow us. It is really important for us to be clear about what we believe in. To have any sense of moral courage, you have to know what your values and ethics are and what your beliefs are to make good decisions and when you have to take action. This is important right now because when you see something that is happening, something that could negatively impact your community, you have to act. If you see there are people who are willing to go against the rule of law, I think it's important for us to see and confront that danger, because if we don't, we cannot in turn complain about the outcome. Both action and inaction have consequences. I know that this isn't something I discuss regularly, to be honest, but it's important for women in my audience to be empowered to speak up and stand up for what is right. There's a quote I want to share with you from Max Dupree. It says, "Leaders should be able to stand alone, take the heat, bear the pain, tell the truth, and do what is right." I like that quote. When you are in a position of power or influence, you can make a difference. You can contribute to the greater good that's going to inevitably help someone. I think it's important to stand up when wrongs are being committed at work or elsewhere, highlight the situation, and help those who are being affected. This is especially important in the workplace because a lot of people fear losing their jobs, so they choose to remain silent. But someone had to show courage in the face of adversity. Social progress demands that people stand up for what's right. And if that has to be you, then so be it. Look at what happened at Amazon. Amazon fired a young African-American man by the name of Christian Smalls because he spoke up about he was being mistreated at work. After being fired, he started a movement and organized a union that helped secure the most important union victory in the United States in decades. We have rights, folks. We need to stand up for what we know is right and what we believe in. And when we see things that are happening that we know are wrong, it's important to be brave in spite of the consequences. Right now, we need courageous people. Some of us may not feel like it's affecting us, but if we don't stand up, we risk losing so much more. And you know what? I want to go back to Liz Cheney again for putting country before her own party and her own political interests. I believe that history will judge Liz Cheney and courageous people like her favorably. We all need to be circumspect about our actions and inactions. How what we say and do impacts our lives, our community, and our nation. As for me, I want to be one of those people in history that was known for doing what was right and speaking my truth. And in ending, I want to leave you with this Bible quote. Be strong and of good courage. Be not afraid, neither be dismayed, for the Lord thy God is with you wherever you go. Joshua 1, verses 9. Thank you so much for listening to this solo episode of Defining You. It's something new and was on my heart to try this format. But I'd really love to get your feedback. So get in touch with me by emailing connectwithhelenaj@gmail.com. As I said earlier, after this month, I'm going on a break to prepare for season 2 of Defining You, and I'm looking for guests. So if that's you or someone you know, get in touch with me by emailing me at connectwithhelenaj@gmail.com. You can find the email address in the show notes. Now, take care, and I hope you enjoyed Defining You. Thank you.